We're standing right on the edge of a massive shift in artificial intelligence. We're about to move away from AI that just guesses what we want to hear and step into an era of AI that actually understands it. So let's dive in and break down what that really means.
I'm sure you've seen this happen. You ask an AI a question, and it gives you this answer that sounds so incredibly confident, but it's completely, utterly wrong. It's just making stuff up. Now, this isn't some small bug in the system. It's a symptom of a really deep architectural flaw in how we've been building AI for decades.
And this, right here, gets to the very heart of the problem, the huge difference between just mimicking something and actually comprehending it. See, current AI is kind of like a brilliant parrot. It can repeat phrases, you can guess the next word in a sentence with incredible accuracy, and it creates this really convincing illusion of knowledge, but it doesn't get the meaning behind the words. This new approach, though, it's all about building a system that can follow a logical path, a path that we can actually trace from the question all the way to the answer.
Okay, so to really understand the solution, we have to go back and pinpoint the original mistake. Why did AI get stuck in this guessing game to begin with? Well, it turns out we've been building it on a logical foundation that is fundamentally blind to how reality actually works.
The secret really lies in this fascinating concept called a holon. It's this idea that describes pretty much every complex system out there, something that is both a complete whole and just a piece of something much bigger. Think of a single cell in your body. It's a complete, self-contained system on its own, but it's also just one tiny part of you.
And this illustrates the idea perfectly, right? A single cell is a whole system, but it's also part of you. A word has its own definition, sure, but its true meaning only really emerges when it's part of a sentence. Nature is built this way through and through. But early computer science, with its rigid logic, forced a choice. An entity had to be either a whole or a part. It could never be both. And that simple error is what broke AI.
And that error creates a huge problem with how AI handles meaning. You see, when you or I hear the word home, we don't just get a dictionary definition. There are three parts. First, there's the signifier. That's the word home itself. Then there's the signified, the general idea of a house. But then there's the most crucial part, the interpretant. That is your unique context, your memories, your feelings about your specific home. This whole meaning-making process is called semiosis.
And here is the fatal flaw. Classical AI takes that rich, beautiful triangle of meaning and essentially crushes it flat. It turns it into what's called a vector, which is just a fancy way of saying a long list of numbers. And in doing that, it completely deletes the interpretant, all your personal context. It strips away the who, the when, and the why, leaving behind only this statistical shadow of the what. This is exactly why it hallucinates. Without context, it literally can't tell the difference between a fact and fiction.
You can almost think of it like climbing a ladder. At the very bottom, you have raw data. Take a step up, and you organize that data into information. And honestly, mainstream AI is incredible at this level. But it hits a glass ceiling. It can't get to that top rung, knowledge. Because real knowledge requires that third piece of the triangle, the context, the interpretant. Without it, AI is just perfectly mimicking the shape of knowledge without actually understanding any of it.
So the big question is, how do we break through that glass ceiling? Well, we have to rebuild AI's entire foundation from the ground up, using a blueprint that's designed to preserve meaning, not flatten it.
This new foundation is called the semiotic web, and its core principle just flips everything on its head. Meaning isn't a static thing you just store in a database. No, it's a living, dynamic process that's constantly being preserved through the relationships between a concept, its context, and whoever is observing it.
And the basic building block of this web is something called a token. The best way to think of it is as the unique DNA for a single concept. It's not just some simple ID number. It's a secure, cryptographic fingerprint, basically a unique code that can't be forged, that represents one specific idea and all of its context.
So, these tokens don't just float around on their own. They're all connected inside this incredible map of meaning called semantic spacetime. And this map defines the four fundamental ways concepts can relate to each other, how similar they are, what they cause, what they're made of, and what qualities they have. This creates a rich, logical landscape of knowledge that an AI can actually navigate.
So we've got this incredible new architecture, the semiotic web, these tokens, semantic spacetime. Think of it as the stage. Now it's time to meet the actors who actually perform on it, and this is the real core of the breakthrough.
These are agents of comprehension, or AOCs for short.
And this is a fundamentally new class of AI. Their main job isn't to predict the next word. Their job is to navigate that map of meaning we just talked about. They are explorers of semantic spacetime.
So instead of just guessing, an agent of comprehension follows explicit, verifiable paths from one idea to the next. It makes a promise to connect concepts in a very specific, logical way that we can actually go back and audit. The key thing here is that its reasoning is deterministic. It's based on rules and logic, not just statistical guesswork.
This changes everything. It completely flips the paradigm of how we think about the role of large language models in these new AI systems.
Right now, in most systems, the LLM is the commander-in-chief. It's at the center, directing the whole show, which means if it makes one little mistake early on, that error just snowballs through the entire chain of thought. But in this new model, the agents of comprehension are in charge. They navigate the map of meaning to figure out the correct logical path. And only then do they contract the LLM as a specialized tool for one specific job, like generating a human-readable sentence. The LLM is no longer the brain. It's a high-skilled contractor.
And the practical impact of this is just staggering. Because you can add new knowledge just by adding new tokens. Without having to retrain the whole network, you eliminate billions in retraining costs. Because the reasoning is deterministic, you can replace these costly and brittle processes like chain of thought. And because the whole system is traceable by design, you don't need to spend billions on separate explainable AI tools anymore.
I mean, just look at these numbers. They're incredible. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars in annual savings. This isn't just some technical tweak. It's a potential economic revolution for the entire AI industry. It can make powerful, reliable AI radically more efficient and accessible to everyone.
And what's so elegant is that this architecture just systematically solves AI's most notorious problems. The black box becomes transparent because every single tecum is auditable. Statistical guessing gets replaced by deterministic reasoning. The brittleness of step-by-step logic is replaced by robust, parallel reasoning. And that frustrating lack of memory in LLMs, that's solved with a persistent, always evolving layer of knowledge.
So all of this is pointing to a new horizon, a moment where we're moving out of the age of approximation and into the age of genuine machine comprehension. And here's what might be the most revolutionary part of all. The same concept, the same token, can hold different meanings depending on the context. Imagine an AI that understands the universal definition of risk, but also knows how your specific company defines risk in its legal documents, and can even grasp how your own personal experiences shape your feeling of risk. This is an AI that can finally understand perspective.
There's a quote from the source material that just captures this moment perfectly. The age of black box statistical approximation is ending. The age of transparent, meaning-preserving, genuinely comprehending intelligence is beginning. We are truly at an inflection point.
And so that leaves us with one final powerful question. Just imagine the possibilities. In science, in business, in our daily lives. What becomes possible when our most powerful tools finally, truly understand us?